This is the Jake for the State podcast, and this is the call for every red-blooded, God-fearing, liberty-loving patriot to prepare yourself, take your position,
stand your ground,
and advance the cause of freedom. Let's go.
Welcome back to the show, guys. And my next guest is my good friend and amazing leader of the Lion's Den, the founder and leader, Miss Ronda Peterson. Welcome to the show, Ronda.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
Well, I love what you're doing, obviously. And I was so privileged and blessed to be able to see it develop on the front end.
Yes.
You know, we connected.
Yes.
Through my congressional run, and my very first run, which was a congressional race, and you jumped on and were just a warrior, and we got through that first grueling congressional race, and then jumped into the Senate race. You were right there by our side once again, and through that whole process, you just developed this vision for what became the Lion's Den.
Yes,
I love it. So tell me a little bit about it. I have the what do you call it? Mission statement?
that's the mission statement. Those are the words that the Lord gave me to write down. Now I've changed it a little bit over time, and where it changes, I removed, like, I used to have rhino in there, to replace rhinos. The word rhino is starting to be overused, just kind of like the word racist.
Right. Mainly Republican in name only,
Right,
for those who don't know.
So I kind of clarified what that meant.
Yeah.
If you want to.
Sure, I'll read it here. Okay.
That's what we hope to do.
And remind me, when did you officially launch the Lion's Den?
It's been, now we're getting close to 2.5 years. We started with 20 people in my living room.
Man. And your living room has kind of been ground zero for campaign, gatherings for a while.
Yeah.
I know we had fundraisers, we had forums there and conversations with constituents. And so you've been hosting and engaged in the political spectrum for a while.
Yes.
And now you're just taking it to a whole new level with this mission. Let me just read it here. The Lion's Den mission says, "We are the helpers, and we will work to help the Lions get elected. We are the diamond in the rough because we have the drive and passion it takes to help save America from the rising tide of communism that has infiltrated our country. There are no others like us who will bring the burning flame we have inside of us to help save our republic. We have a mission, and God created us for such a time as this. We work hard, and we have fun, and we always protect our battle plans. With the help of God, we will be a force that is unstoppable. We are an army of helpers who will show up and do the work that needs to be done to help godly Republican men and women win elections to replace anyone who does not work for the good of our state, our cities, and our schools. Our country was founded upon godly principles, common sense, and the voice of reason. We must return to our foundation. The candidates we help must be the lions who will not relent in the face of evil. Welcome to the Lion's Den." Love it.
And that's just the passion. You got to have that passion and that drive inside of you we're not going to stand for this. And what are we going to do about it?
Yeah.
You have to get off that couch and get moving and start helping. And one of the things that was given to me, when you were running back and a couple of years ago even,
right, where
we always want somebody to run for office, and we want somebody good to run for office, and we're always saying, we the people, we the people. We hear that all the time. So I just had these thoughts in my head where if we the people want someone who is going to represent we the people, then we the people, that means all of us, need to help them get elected. If we don't help them, they're up against a lot.
Yeah, I always say, there are those that are called to run, and then there are those who are called to help them get elected. And the same vision. And the army of volunteers. I remember my first race, I had a good friend who was involved politically, and he said, "Well, you better have an army." Yep. And thankfully, I did have an army. Yep. And you, through the Lion's Den, have an army that is well respected across the state, especially in the Oklahoma City area. Because if anyone is running for any kind of office, they know they better get in contact with the Lion's Den, because it's an opportunity to speak to, the Lions. We're talking about the Lions that are elected, but the Lions help them get elected too. And so the helpers that come alongside them are so critical. And I think you just carry that spirit of the servant leader, and it just emanates through the whole group. And so I love to see it. And when people show up, I mean, people do show up.
Yeah.
We say like, how many doors did you guys knock last year?
We had the year when I'm going to say the election year that we knocked over 40,000 doors.
40,000.
And then I had it written down. We had assembled more. I was like 30,000 door hanging pieces for candidates, because we do candidate volunteer work nights. If you needed something to be assembled, hands-on work, there was a candidate that needed us to put a flag inside of a door knocking bag. Plus, he had a newspaper he wanted to be in there. So that all had to be inserted into each bag.
And that takes time.
Yes.
You know, if you don't have people helping you, you're going to be there for a week doing that.
So that's one of them. But we also did stuffing envelopes, hand addressing the envelopes, putting stamps on the envelope.
The stakes and the signs. Right?
Assembling the signs. We did like over 10,000 signs, 15,000 stamping and stuffing envelopes.
Right.
And that's when you just started counting them. But before that, we hadn't really counted.
and you do this all for the low price of
Zero. Free. And that's everyone that helps. So the Lion's Den is not Ronda Peterson.
Yeah.
The Lion's Den is everyone that comes alongside this vision.
Yeah.
I get emotional.
Yeah.
And they come alongside this vision, and they just want to be able to do something, just like I wanted to be able to do something.
Exactly.
And we'll do what we can. And we need more helpers. I'm going to say that, because there's many candidates that need help. And when it comes to the door knocking part, that seems to be the hardest area of getting help. It's very vitally needed, because that is the most important thing that you can do, is get to the door of the voters and remind them that there's an election coming up.
Is it as significant for a volunteer as a representative to be at the door? How does that compare to the candidate showing up, him or herself?
It's best if the candidate is at the door. That's number one, if that can be done in the candidate. But of course, with as many doors that need to be reached, it's impossible usually for the candidate to reach every single door unless they don't have a job and that's all they do full time. Then I guess that could be accomplished.
Right.
But many candidates still have their job and they're working a full-time job plus trying to be a candidate.
Right.
So that would be very difficult. So you need those helpers to help you reach the doors and bring your literature to the doors and to tell the voters about you as a candidate. And when you support a candidate and you're passionate about that candidate and what they stand for, it's a lot easier to go to that door and tell them why I'm a volunteer and why I'm here spending my time to tell you about it.
Well, that in itself is so powerful.
Yeah.
I mean, it may not be the candidate, him or herself, but you have someone who is giving up her hours, his hours, and walking miles, literally, for this great cause because they believe in the candidate. I mean, that's a powerful statement.
Yes. And I want to remind candidates, too, never take your volunteers for granted. Because,
so true.
Because they're not your paid staff. There's some places that pay people I'm going to say this. There are sometimes you're going to get literature on the door, and those people have been paid to bring that literature to the door. I'm not saying that happens all the time, but with the Lion's Den, none of us are paid.
Right.
We're all volunteers.
That's about the cause, huh?
Right.
So what is the vision moving forward? I know you've already started a second Lion's Den, right? Do you have a vision going further across the state?
I said this from the beginning, that the vision would be that there would be a Lion's Den in every county, because every county needs one. Because we pretty much operate out of Oklahoma County, because that's where most of us live, and that's where I live. And since I founded it and started it, that's where it was. And we can't help everyone. We don't have enough people to help.
Right.
And it's so hard when you have candidates come, and they're great candidates. They're great candidates, but
they live 2 hours away or across the state.
Right. And you can't get the people there to help them that they need. And that breaks my heart.
Yeah.
Because I want to be able to do that. So what you just said was just amazing. I think it's been 4, maybe 5 months ago now. I'm so happy in Yukon.
Yes.
they started the Lions Gym chapter in the Liberty Church there in Yukon. And it would be Stephanie and Chris and Tammy and Kendall. And if I I had already told them this, if I could handpick anyone to start another Lions Den, they would be who I would pick. And I'm so excited about what they're doing. And it's already growing and people are getting found there. Yes. And I'm so excited about that it's needed.
It is. And, so it's a great opportunity right now just to let the listeners know that if you're listening, you're hearing this, and you're anywhere in Oklahoma, hey, let's go ahead and put it up there. If you're listening in Massachusetts, who knows? But this message resonates in you. This mission statement resonates in you because, hey, we need this across America. That's the reality of it, to get behind great candidates. Then they can reach out to you. I'm talking about starting a chapter. I know we love relationships and organic, but we could talk to a complete stranger who has the same cause and devoted to the same mission and say, let's get a Lions Den ramped up. I mean, we need this across the state. So how can people find out more about it? Is it on Facebook?
We just have a Facebook page because we're all volunteer. We are not a PAC. We don't raise money. We don't raise funds. So, I mean, you'd have to pay someone to do a website for us and any of that. We don't have a website because we don't raise funds on, I guess, that'd come out of my pocket to do it. But we have a Facebook page. Otherwise, it's mostly by word of mouth and spreading the news about it. And hey, if you would like to get involved, let me know and I'll take down your information. And we just, we let people know what we're doing by text messaging them. And that is not a paid service as well. That's me individually texting each person. And for a while there, last year it got pretty hard with the text messaging because for some reason my phone kept getting shut down and messed with where it wasn't working.
Starts making you think.
Only when I was trying to communicate about what we're doing.
Really?
It was very suspicious.
Well, let's talk about last year. Last year was an interesting year for you. So you moved from helper volunteer to candidate. What was that like?
That was something I thought I'm supposed to be the helper. But what happened is in my district where I lived, the representative that we've had resigned. And I'm always telling people to step up and run. We need good people in office. And when it was my own district, nobody recruited me. I'm going to say I was not recruited.
Yeah.
It was, this is my district. I love this district. I have been here now it's been over 22 years now, all this time. And I've lived and worked in the same district. And I know so many of these people. I've knocked on so many doors in this area for other candidates, but it's mostly because how much I love my own district and I know my district well. We have some very well-off people in our district, but we have some people that are really struggling, really, really struggling. And I know that I have 14 precincts in my district where...
You know the district well. You've walked in many times.
And some other candidates didn't even know how many precincts, and that was even after they were elected. Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry. But I just wanted to say I know my district, and I just care about people. I love people, and I want to see the right thing being done, bringing us back to representation of the people by a citizen legislature.
Right.
Someone that is one thing I said is, I'm not the doctor and I'm not the attorney. I'm not a high profile executive. I'm just a regular, ordinary person like everyone else. And I've, as we know, I've had struggles in my life just like other people. And I've overcome those struggles, and I've been through quite a bit in life experiences that have shown me a lot and taught me a lot. When you go through those kinds of experiences, it causes you to be able to relate to other people that may be going through the same thing or have had that happen to them. And you're able to see what their world is like because you've experienced it.
One of the reasons people don't run is because of the nasty side of politics. Because there's not a person alive that doesn't have baggage, that doesn't have something in their history that they don't want out in public, and they don't want their dirty laundry aired out.
Yeah.
That's everyone. And so you might have someone who's considering it, but they think, wow, last race, I saw how ugly it got. I don't want them smearing me the same way, because it happens. It happens, and it happened to you. And I want to talk about that a little bit, because one of the instances was, some of them were just straight out lies and slander, and some of it was bringing up past 25 years ago things that happened. And so I can imagine someone that may have,
and it wasn't a criminal act or anything.
It was what? It was bankruptcy. It was.
Yeah, we had a credit problem. First of all, I shouldn't even have to tell you. My family went through a pretty severe tragedy.
Yeah,
and it was hard and painful. So when they bring that up, they're bringing up a lot of pain for me. But we survived that. And to have to go back to someone's history that far back to try to smear them, you know what? That shows me what kind of a candidate you are. Or whoever you have helping you.
And that's the thing, is we don't know who.
Right.
We have ideas. And thankfully people have done a lot of research, and we have some pretty good ideas. I mean, I'm looking in here. Jenny White is here in the state and has done some amazing investigative work.
Yes.
She's kind of a bulldog when it comes to some of these political campaign shenanigans.
She's been fantastic, because she really does a lot of an intensive research.
Yeah. So, I mean, you guys can check out her work at rope2.org.
Yes.
Some great stuff. And you can find this article here where she looked at a couple of the flyers, the smear flyers that were sent out against you. And this one said that it says, "We can't trust her," referring to you.
And it said, "We can't trust her to work for us." And I want to say, you know what? You're darn right. I'm not going to work for you.
But it's us. Are we talking about the establishment?
Yeah. If you're talking about people that sent this mailer, no, I'm not planning to work for you.
And it's sent by this PAC, this mysterious PAC, 1907 PAC. Yes. And it says, reject out of touch Ronda Peterson. We can't trust her to work for us. And I love what you said. You better believe I'm not working for you, working for the people.
Right.
And according to Rope 2, according to Jenny White and her research, she connected this to longtime political consultant Fout Holland and his partner Matthew Parker. And so you have a consultant who's working with candidates, who's also working these dark money groups to send out flyers smearing his candidate's opponents. And this just gets into the nastiness of politics that keeps good people out. And it's on two different fronts. It keeps some people from running altogether. Right. And then it keeps those that are running. Well, it, in the end, was a negative for you. You lost, but only by a few votes. And that's when you compare expenditure, when you compare fundraising. Your opponent spent a lot more money, but you garnered a lot more votes because you, I believe, connected with the people. But it's really difficult when you have mailer after mailer after mailer being sent, smearing you, and you have the public who they're not sure what to believe in the first place. Right. And maybe they're just not politically engaged, and suddenly you have a mailer saying, "Don't trust her." That's in the back of their mind when they go to the booth, and it makes an impact. It does.
It does. And also, you also have the people I call them, like we call them the trolls, or the people that just absolutely hate you, that have never even met you. I have, people hate you for whatever reason, because maybe they don't like that I'm a Republican to begin with, or they don't like that I used to do my prayer walks in the city of Edmond, and I would carry my flag. That was a big thing. There was a group that created a Facebook page and was very smearing myself and the Lions Den, and even other candidates or anybody else. And a lot of it had to do that I would wear my Trump hat too, and I would wear that. So it just depends on, you're automatically this person because I believe in having a country that is founded on godly principles, and we have a country that is where everybody has equal, we have an opportunity here where the policies, I absolutely believe in the policies that President Trump had in place. The policies were good for everyone in America. We didn't have wars. We didn't have an invasion at our border.
And a
We
vibrant, thriving
didn't have
economy.
this high inflation. We didn't have people losing their businesses and shut down. I mean, everybody had a chance to do better. And I don't think anybody can argue that, no matter how much you hate the man.
You see what his policies did for the nation. He was thriving. People that have hated him forever are now reconsidering that, considering Biden in office and all the debacle that's been. But the principles that he serves by work, and you're saying you had the same principles that I absolutely attest to that. But then you have these attacks so you get into this race, you're running, and your opponents, because they are connected to other people in the establishment circles, raise lots of money, send out the massive amounts of mailers with smears on them. One of them is just an outright lie, where it talks about how you actually lost your job.
No, that was done through what they call push polling. And the voters really need to know what that is.
And it's through text.
Yes, that is where you're getting those text messages. And this is a tactic that I'm just going to say that my opinion is that this is a tactic that is used by political consultants or campaigns. They're trying to find out who's in the lead. And if it's not their candidate that they're supporting, they know we've got to do something.
When you start seeing a poll with your name on it, it means that you're encroaching on their territory. You're getting close, and you're being a threat.
Right. Well, first they want to know, they'll list all the candidates. They want to know who you plan to vote for. So they're gathering data. The first text that you're getting to opinion polls, for a while there, maybe that first few weeks or month, you're going to get data gathering. Once they know enough about the voter, or what they think the voters in that district want, or what they like if they're all Trump haters, they'll know, hey, don't vote for her because she supported Trump. Or if they're all someone that didn't stand, like I was very much for school choice. If there are people that did not want that, they would use those things to be able. Did you know that what they do is they try to create text messages knowing this about a candidate. Does that make you less likely or more likely?
Well, let me just read some of this right here. Again, here with Ronda Peterson, founder of the Lion's Den. So this question went out via text. Will you answer a few questions about the important upcoming special election in Oklahoma? So that's the question.
Yes.
And then it says, Ronda Peterson was removed from her position with the public school system because you drive a bus for the public school. She was removed from her position with the public school system for attempting to indoctrinate children, going around parents' backs, and without their knowledge to push her own beliefs on children. Does knowing this make you more or less likely to vote for her?
That, you know what? I'm going to tell you, Jake, I could care less about them bringing about what happened to my family 24, 25 years ago. When they did that, that crosses the line. You're going after someone's job that, first of all, I love what I do. 22 years driving for the public school system that I drive for. Never been written up once. And I'm getting a little upset here. So I've never been written up once. A very dedicated employee to that district. I care about the students that I transport deeply. I care about them a lot. And to have that being said about me, you're crossing the line.
I have here your review.
Yeah, that's just recent.
And was this before or after this text message?
This was the text message came during the special election, so it was before the primary. It came out close to the election date of December 12th, because the closer we got to the election, they were getting desperate because apparently I was still in the lead or neck and neck with the other person.
Right.
So I guess they thought that they needed to do whatever they could to change that. But this was an evaluation that is done by my employer, and this was just done this month here.
Yeah, it says, everything is exceed standards or meet standards, and the comments on the end says, Ronda Peterson is a veteran driver with an outstanding safety record. She goes over and beyond to provide safe and positive transportation to her students and all the programs and trips she is responsible for. She's a leader, mentor, and role model for her peers and students. EPS is a place where Ronda has effected change and been an advocate for children. Very different, it seems, from the text that was sent out, the push poll from your opponent. And what's interesting and sad is that somebody believed this. And not only did they believe it, but they spread the lie on Facebook.
Yes.
So I'm looking here to
And
screenshot.
next door was a big place where they were saying all kinds of things about me that weren't true.
Well, I mean, on this Facebook post, the screenshot says she got fired as a bus driver. And you actually responded to that post, said, no, I did not. I'm still employed by Edmond Public Schools as a bus driver. That was nothing but a lie. So these kind of things do impact our elections.
Yes.
When we talk about election integrity, we're fixated on the actual vote when you're filling in the bubbles and the counting of those votes. But it happens long before people actually cast their vote. It's how are voters being influenced by this propaganda, by these lies, that is coming from these dark money groups, that it's really hard to locate who is funding this.
For me, I sleep well at night. If you're a candidate that uses any of these consultants that would resort to these type of tactics, how well do you sleep? And how do you feel knowing that you possibly won the election doing that to someone else?
Yeah.
What gets done? I couldn't. There's no way I could ever do that.
Well, people with a conscience can't sleep, but when your conscience has been seared and you're hungry with power, then I don't doubt if they don't sleep pretty well themselves. But, you know, we're ultimately going to stand before our judge, and that's where we'll all be held accountable.
I just say I hold my head high, and I continue to hold my head high the whole time, even in the face of all the smears. And it got bad. I didn't even look. I wouldn't even look at social media because I wasn't going to let it distract me, because I'm sure that's what they wanted to happen. And the things are being said. I would, this was being said on Nextdoor about you or this. I don't even want to know. I don't even care.
You have to keep your
because
sanity.
I know who I am, and who's ever saying those things, they don't know me.
Yeah,
they've never met me, so I could care less what they have to say. And I just want to say that when you live your life in such a way that you can hold your head high and try your best. I mean, I'm not perfect, but I will say that I do my best to do the right thing. I live by these principles. Do the right thing. Keep your word is another big one for me, you know, and there's 3 of them. There are 3 big things.
Well, the list is long of the character.
My children, I've always told them, and I tell myself, do the right thing. And that's the same thing for me. Do the right thing.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. So candidates come to you, they come to the Lion's Den to present their platform, but also to hopefully connect with volunteers who will help them. And, you know, I'm thinking about those that are new to politics, they're getting in, and if someone is a strong contender, you can bet that consultants are going to be reaching out to them.
Yes.
To try to, sign them up as a client.
Right. Because they make money. The people need to know they're making money off of these candidates.
That's the main goal. That's the main goal. And when you compare that to somebody like an organization like the Lion's Den, where you don't charge anything, it's all free, all volunteer for the cause. You know, I'm just wondering if this might be an avenue that could replace, I believe it is, replace what consultants would offer to candidates, so that because people will start running for office for the cause because they believe in something. A lot of times. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's power or whatever. But if they're getting in it for the right reason, but they don't know what to do, they don't know about signs, they don't know about mailers and door knocking and all these things, then they get desperate and consultants come and say, hey, I'll help you out. And so they sign up and they don't know it, but essentially signing their life away for the next few months. And, you know, they trust the consultant to do what's right. And it's not always done right. And I just think that candidates out there listening, people considering running for office, know who your consultants are, know their background. And I would not offer them a blank check to do with your name and your messaging whatever they want. And I would instead check out the Lion's Den, check out Ronda Peterson and what they're doing to help candidates, offer assistance, direction, wisdom, and actual physical help in the process. It honestly, I think, is so much more valuable than they're going to get anywhere else. There's a big need for candidates, good, strong candidates. There's a big need for people to start a new Lions Den across the state, and there's a need for more volunteers to get involved. And
there is.
I mean, I think that what you're doing is great. If I wasn't clear on that, what I just said before, help is out there. So if you're looking to run, there's help, and don't feel desperate. Don't feel trapped, or that you gotta sign up for something so that you have a successful campaign. I just interviewed a candidate, Steve Herberger, that you had at the Lions Den last night.
He did a really great
He did a good job, and he doesn't have a consultant. I don't bash all consultants, but when I see someone who is not, who's going to take the reins, that's what I did in my campaign, but with your help, of course. But when I see someone like that, I'm saying, okay, they're not bought for sure. And I believe they're honest, and they're wanting to do whatever it takes to connect with the people. I love that. And then to be able to connect with a great group like Lions Den to get the help he needs, because you can't win it all alone by yourself.
And that's where I'm coming back to, where my heart is broken so many times, because there's so many great candidates, and they are looking for help, and they're coming for help, and it's like, we can't.
We need more help.
We can't help everybody.
Yeah.
And they don't often get all the help they need because we don't have enough people. When I'm talking about going to the doors,
yeah,
any kind of hands-on work, oh yeah, we're great with that. It's amazing on a volunteer work night. If you have any of that hands-on work that needs to be done, there's 60 to 80 people that will show up.
60 to 80 people.
And it was so cool because some of these campaigns would send, I think there was something on Nathan Dom's campaign, and he had one of his staffers bring some stuff for us, and he's looking around the room, and he's going, and that's when we only had like 30 people show up. He goes, is this normal? Is this? And I go, well, yeah, pretty much, but sometimes we have more. And he goes, I've worked many campaigns throughout the United States, and I've never seen anything like this. So that's unique.
Unique.
God, that's God. Because I don't say the light is the lives of the Lord. And then when we did, we were helping at these last primaries, and they had some special elections. It was last year, and we were doing some more hand addressing stuff. And I can remember it was Melissa Treat's campaign had some postcards. Their Republican candidate I always say, you bring the work, we'll bring the helpers, you know?
That's good.
And she was the nominee, and they needed postcards addressed. But we did a lot of other whoever brought us stuff, it wasn't just her. And he even said the same thing. And they say, I've never seen
it's like phenomenal.
This. Because we can't even get 10 people to show up to do this.
Well, and the secret is, and I hate to spill the beans, but it's pulled pork. Yeah,
I don't have pulled pork though. You don't know on the guy day work night.
For those of you who don't know, her husband,
tacos.
Right? Your husband is the chef premier, and so when he does, I love his pulled pork.
Oh, it's good, isn't it?
But
that's my stuff.
Y'all feed this volunteer as well, so that's always a good thing. Rhonda,
it's just,
what else would you add to wrap this up today?
I know earlier today I felt a little flustered when you asked me, what do you tell these candidates? Because
we interviewed on the radio show.
Right, and I got flustered. I'm going to just admit that, because when you asked me that, I was like, oh, I got that curveball, because what I really want to say is this, so I'm just going to say it now. I wanted to say, what do you tell candidates that want to run, but they know they're up against all this? I just want to say, money and power buys elections. It's a fact. We're seeing out there, but run anyway. Try. Don't give up.
That's a good word.
Because look what happened in my race alone. I worked a full-time job, but besides pretty much running my own campaign, I did have some people help me, some wonderful people, as far as giving me advice. And these weren't paid people, again, just people that are in the know what they're doing with elections, or I could ask questions. I had wonderful, I don't know if they want me to mention their name. So I had another gentleman that was very instrumental in making sure, hey, I don't want to go into debt trying to run a campaign. And he made sure I stayed on budget, not purchasing things that I didn't have the money to pay for. Wow. So we could stay in budget, so that win or lose, I wasn't in debt this campaign. And that was a huge thing, keeping track of the numbers. I had a wonderful treasurer these were a volunteer. She was volunteer treasurer that first time she did it, there was a little hiccups where she was learning how to do it, and they are going to see on one of my ethics reports, and we were always usually the first to file. But one of my ethics reports, like at the end, there was something that she hadn't realized. And it was if you receive like a donation of more than $1,000 or something within the last 10 days, you have to file it within, I think, 1 day.
Yeah.
And she hadn't realized that when it happened, and she filed it in 2 days. So then I had to pay a fine. But I'm so proud of her. She did a great job.
Yeah.
But then what's going to happen with that is a consultant or somebody else will look at that and say, "Oh, they got ethics violation,
Right?
Or ethics fine." When all it was she filed it 1 day late,
Oh, I'm
not
telling you,
realizing that she had.
I've got a couple of ethics violation fines myself because I'm a horrible bookkeeper, but I did my own books. And hey, I filed it late, and so you pay the fine and move on. It doesn't make you a criminal.
Or
It means
they'll
that you
use
made a
that.
mistake.
They'll spin it.
They'll smear it. They'll use anything they can.
So, I mean, but if it wasn't for all the wonderful volunteers I had helping me from door to door,
Yeah.
I mean, I can't tell you how much I love these people. I get emotional because these people, they give their time,
Yeah,
their talent, their treasure, and I'm just so blessed to know them, to have them in my life, and they helped me as much as they could getting to the doors. And without them, because like I said, I was working I worked 40 hours a week plus doing my campaign, and then
Rhonda, you're a warrior, and you are raising warriors.
And we almost beat the political machine. We lost by only 27 votes. So please, if you're thinking about running, just know that don't let it sway you from running, and just. If you really
There's help out there.
If you believe that this is what you're supposed to do, because you got to pray about it too. If you're a believer, at least I did, and that will just end on too. That so many people wanted me to run again. You only lost, and I really was considering it. I mean, because I was running for the right reasons.
Yeah.
I love my community, and when you do that, you don't ever give up. And I have that spirit in me. Don't you give up, Rhonda. Don't you give up. And doesn't matter what they throw at you, don't give up. But I'll just tell you, I really did pray this whole time about it really hard, and I knew what I was going to be up against again, and I was going to take those bullets again. But what you see happening is the political theater. I'm going to just say, Jake, from the political theater that happens when they talk about interfering in elections. If I would have been the one in office, do you think I would have been offered a bill to be able to tell the voters, look what I did within 30 days of being in office? I wouldn't have gotten in office in time to be able to submit a bill because we wouldn't have been in office until the middle of February. Your bills, what was the deadline, Jake? Do you remember that the bills had to be turned in by?
Oh, yeah.
It was way before that.
It's before that.
So for me, if I would have been the one to be elected, it would have been impossible for me to submit a bill.
Right.
So it's amazing how all of a sudden a candidate can claim that they had a bill that they passed after so to me that just shows where I'm just going to speculate because I do that. I connect dots. Right. And I'm not stupid.
Hey, it's good
and
to
I'm
do.
not stupid. So, and I can't prove that this is what happened, but if you are a free thinker and you are a critical thinker, you're going to wonder, oh, how can that happen? Because normally that can't happen. So, who took their name off of a bill and let somebody else put their name on it to claim that bill as their own?
Well, that's what happened, most likely.
But I can't prove that.
Right.
But I'm just saying, but the voters don't understand that and don't know that. So then they get this mailer. And that was, of course, sent out shortly before the filing deadline to ward off anybody that might try to run, of course. And all of the endorsements and everything. And you know that this leadership support. And I'm not going to say this person is a bad guy. I'm not going to say that.
I always say about everyone at the Capitol is a good guy. Everyone's a good guy.
He's very, very kind. He's very charismatic.
Everyone has smiles and handshakes.
Actually, he and I, I was at the Capitol when we were trying to get people to vote and pass the bill to move our elections, which the people were ignored on that too. Move our school board elections to November. Over 80% of people polled wanted that to happen, but yet somehow that does not get passed.
Right.
That's what we deal with. So I saw him there. This was during that filing period I had, and I'm sure he probably was wondering, is she going to file? Is she going to file? But I saw him and he said, hey, can we talk for a minute? So we talked, and I let him know how I felt. Of course, he claims he didn't know anything about, and his consultant said they had nothing to do with those smears, but yet it was tracked back to that campaign.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It was tracked back to the
right, which is why we need some more regulation around dark money and these. I mean, if we want true election integrity, we've got to do something about that.
So, and this isn't the bash, and he's probably going to do a fantastic job. He's really kind.
So.
And so we prayed, and I just said, I'm really working on forgiveness. I'm a Christian, yes, but just that forgiveness and that bitterness, because I just let him know what hurt most than anything is coming after my job and lying about that to win an election.
Right.
And that probably did cost me an election, but if that's what it takes to win for someone, then if that's how you win, then that's how you win.
Well, I think we have to, like you said, there are powers against you if you're wanting to run.
Yeah.
But run anyway and run a race of integrity, and that's what you did. Yeah. You modeled that for those that you're helping.
And I was willing to do it again.
Yeah.
But the Lord, I specifically prayed really hard. And Lord, I need total confirmation that this is what I am supposed to do. And I'm like, even the last day of filing day, Lord, it's the last day of filing day. And I even had the paperwork filled out. I had it notarized, ready to go, just in case I got that confirmation.
This wasn't your race.
And I put out that specific fleece so I would know that it was, and it didn't happen. So I had to really let that go. And I'll tell you, Jake, that was really hard, because if I were to work on my own and my human nature and what I wanted to do, because I want to get in that fight, because I truly was running for the right reasons. I wanted to defend our liberties and to be that vote that will say, no, we're not going to have this, or yes, we need this, or try to pass bills that were good for America. I wanted to be able to be that. But the Lord said no. And if I would have done it anyway, it wouldn't have been right. Even if I would have won, it wouldn't have been right.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't have ended well for me, because I would have been out of the will of the Lord.
Yeah.
And that's more important to me.
That's the most important. That's the most important.
And maybe the reason I was in this election is to just bring to light some of the things that are happening. And remember, this isn't about like, oh, Ronda's a victim. I want to just say one thing. This has happened to numerous candidates, and we saw it when you were running.
Yeah.
And not just to you. There was many great America First candidates that truly believe in our Constitution and love people and want to be able to be that. I'm going to say what the founders wanted, the common everyday person to represent the people, back to a citizen legislature. We don't have a citizen legislature anymore. We don't. We have a legislature that's working for beholden to the powers that be by money and power. And so we aren't going to get back to that unless people are elected who believe in that, and we start to get back to that.
Man. It's a good word. It's a good word.
Sorry, get me going.
I know.
You can't keep me.
Well, it's a passion for you, obviously, and the great work that you do with the Lions Den is making an impact, and people know it is reverberating around the state. And so, Ron, I appreciate your time.
Okay, and I want to just end that we need more helpers.
Yes, let's emphasize that.
Please don't be afraid to be a door knocker.
I love
because so many people are afraid to do that. Primary's coming up, Jake. And there's so many great candidates. And
we got to have volunteers.
I don't want to turn people away that we can't help you because we don't have enough, because we've had to do that. Because when I told you what happened before, we finally did have to just choose. We can only help one or two candidates.
Right.
And that's all we could do.
That's the call, guys. That's the call. So, again, how can people reach out to you?
405-314-9429.
There you go.
And
Ron, I appreciate your time. We're gonna be pushing people towards the Lions Den and Canadian County. Great group going there.
Yes, if you're closer to Canadian County, get involved. They're great people, and they're trying to do the same thing we are.
Yeah,
and they're all volunteers as well.
I love it. Well, thanks guys for tuning into the Jake for the State podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. And hey, we'll see you next time.